I remember in college sitting at the bar, and my friend would introduce me to another friend and say, "Hey, his mom lives in the Amazon jungle." And then, people would say, "Well, you got to tell me more." So, I spent 2 decades absolutely rejecting my skin, who I was, my heritage, my mother, and everything.
I think in some ways, we're all a little alienated, and we all want to feel like we're part of something, like we're part of some kind of community, some kind of family. I think, him going back to his roots, like he felt like he was finally home. That's something that I really wanted to get across. You don't hear this every day that, an anthropologist lives with an indigenous tribe in the Amazon, married one of them, had children, and moved to Scranton, Pennsylvania.
Over the years, began telling the story to people all over the world. There's universal elements of love and abandonment and depression and insecurity and family and reunion. And so I thought, what I had gained by finding my identity is something that I felt like could resonate with families all across the world.
My name is John Malloy, known professionally as Flux. I am the co-author with David on this book and the illustrator.
My name is David Good. I'm a PhD candidate at University of Guelph. I worked with John to kind of create this graphic memoir based on my personal story. The background story, as depicted in the book, is the story of my mom being an indigenous Yanomami woman from the Yanomami territory in the Amazon region, and she met and fell in love with my father. But just as much as she showed him her world, she wanted to visit him in his world. But she couldn't last very long because it's just like going through a time portal, fast forwarding 3,000 years, and everything was strange and different. The technology, the people, and everything. And she just couldn't handle it. So that's why she returned to the Amazon when I was 5. And in the graphic novel, I really like the way, it goes, black and white, because during that time, I dealt a lot with identity crisis, who I am as an indigenous person, who I am as a Yanomami American, and also dealing with these feelings of abandonment from my mom leaving me when I was 5 years old. I always had this kind of pain and this dullness inside of me, who I was, and missing my mom. And then I think John really put it quite nicely, where when I rediscovered my mom and went back to the Amazon, it was kind of like a relief, right? It was like opening a whole new world where I could pick up where I left off with my mom and then rediscover who I am as a Yanomami person.
I always wanted to do something that involved the Yanomami, so I think it's been really great working with him because he let me take a lot of creative liberty. I think one of the biggest topics of the book is that his mother, she came and lived in the United States. She was a fish out of water for a short amount of time, and then went back to the rainforest and left her family. And I started thinking, like, she must have been so alone and missing her family and her community. So I thought, what if we told David's story, which was his coming of age and eventually, going through what he went through to go out and find her as an adult, juxtapose that with what her story would have been in the rainforest, growing up, so that people could empathize with her right away. And then also you get this double thing where it's like an anthropology lesson. I felt like the starkness of the black and white was a good way to get that across emotionally to the reader. I think when you turn the page from black and white, my hope is that there's like this to color, there's a sense of relief. So when you open up to the color, it's like, wow, like, okay, I get it. I know, like, why these people have lived the way they've lived for so long. They're immersed in this world, and it's incredible.
Good, intrinsically is a good book, excuse the pun. For me personally, it's a storytelling tool. And it's a tool that I use to share with the world about who the Yanomami people are. This is just one Yanomami story, and they live in an ecosystem that is under threat. So I'm hoping that through this one story, it's one tool where, people could just Google the Yanomami and learn a little bit more about them. And that's what I'm hoping for as well.
So the book is called Good: From the Amazon Jungle to Suburbia and Back, available where most books are sold.
If anyone would like to learn a little bit more about the Yanomami and support our mission in helping the Yanomami, please visit the yanomamifoundation.org.